Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames, and today we are especially excited because we are going to cover Warcradle releases for September, and as you can see, as had been teased and as everybody thought, it is going to be the release month for Armoured Clash. Finally we're getting Armoured Clash, which is the land battle version of Dystopian Wars. Let's say it's in the same universe. It's going to be epic scale, a little bit higher. It's 10 millimeters, so a little bit bigger model than, for example, Legion Imperialis. But it's going to be the same scale as Planetfall, for those that remember that great game, whose license is actually bought by Warcradle as well, sci-fi game. The same scale as Epic Warpath that is coming on, the same scale as what we're going to play with Full Spectrum Dominance. So lots of games at this scale. I'm very happy to see more and more 10 millimeters game being released because it's such a great scale at which to play large battles, but still understand like the scale of a human and stuff. It's perfect scale. We're going to have a look because there's a lot of stuff being released, and we need to explain a little bit because, as you can see, there are 5 boxes. So the starter sets, we can understand what it's about, but there are also 2 starters, let's say 2 sets per factions, and they are quite different. And even the largest one-player starter set, there is a little something that you don't get if you don't get the 2-player starter sets. We'll talk about this, what you get, what you don't get, what you should buy, depending on whether you have friends or not, whether you're interested or not. And so we'll see that in details, and also we will talk about the models that you get for both factions. Of course, it's not gonna get a faction review, because even if we had the Orbats, and we don't, I would not be allowed to tell you anything about it. What we did have is some teaser of the rule sets, and there are some things that are public that I will be able to share with you. And the first thing that I will start to say is that, damn, the game is good. Like, they took some ideas from all the very best epic scale war games, even some old ones. There are some stuff that are from Epic Armageddon, for example, that I didn't see in other games, and they were like, yeah, you know what, that's a great idea, so let's take it again, let's make it more modern, and let's use it for our games. The game plays so well from what we could read so far, and I cannot wait to start to make battle reports on this. We have some terrains already painted, we were very excited, and as soon as we receive the boxes, we will start to first make an unboxing, of course, and then get the different players painting their armies, so we can get some battle reports for you as soon as possible. But enough talking about what we're gonna do on the channel. Let's have a look indeed at those releases. We're going to talk about first the large starter sets because they contain everything, and this way we can talk about the units, what we think they're gonna do. There are lots of new things, new variants of units we had never seen through these releases, so we are very happy to discover new things. I will say that I was underwhelmed by Armoured Clash. I was like, what is it going to be? Like, even in our community, we were like, what's it going to be? Like, the miniatures don't look so cool, in our opinion. The pictures we see, like, were not so great. Now we see the variants of different models and everything, and I have to say I am much more hyped. Partly because I know much more about the rules and the game is amazing, and partly as well because of these releases that you see. I am very confident that this is going to be a great game, and if you were underhyped by what you've seen in May or June, take a look again at the game. Right now, of course, with these pre-orders, but also when we're going to start to make the unboxing and the first battle reports, I really think you might absolutely love this game if you like large-scale combats, especially at 10 millimeters, of course. So we're going to do this first, the main battle groups, then we'll have a look at the 2-player starter set, the Battle for Singapore, and then we'll talk about the introductory sets, what you get and what you don't get with those. We will start, of course, with the Crown Battle Group because, well, Warcradle is British, and we can see that they love their country because, damn, the Crown forces look so good. So as you can see, in this Crown Battle Group, we don't have the prices yet. It's going to be north of $100 because it has been leaked on some website. It's probably going to be, I don't know, $120, $130, maximum $150 or euros then. We will let you know, of course, once it is confirmed. As always, we're in talks with My Hobby Place, so you will be able to order Armoured Clash at -10% with the code LOVE, just like this forever, no matter what you do. And if you use the code, like if you design Love and Wargames as your main partner when you are at the checkout, you will give us like 3% back, so we can buy more miniatures on My Hobby Place website. So thank you if you do that. We'll make bigger battle reports. And yeah, you're gonna pay quite a bit, so more than 100. But what do you get? you get a lot of little stuff, but we don't realize how massive this thing is going to be. For example, the main flagship in Resin, because this thing is going to be even larger than the flagships in Dystopian Wars. Like, we've seen it on the table in a few pictures when there were some demo games in some game convention. This thing is massive. This thing is absolutely huge, and by comparison you can see the size. Like those tanks, for example, from what we have seen, they're going to be the same size as a Mass 2 for Dystopian Wars. So that is going to be a lot of large stuff. The one thing that I will point out, and the one thing that makes me very sad actually, but I understand why, but still, is that those Resin masterpieces, centerpieces, which is one of the main reasons you want to play the game, are only available so far in the large one-player starter set for the Crown and for the Empire, which means they are not going to be available through the two-player starter set, the Battle of Singapore. I understand why. Battle of Singapore is very cheap. Like you will see, it's like $80 on the merchant website, so it's probably going to be around 100. So very cheap starter set, but you will only get plastics. Some people are happy only having plastic, but it means that you will have some commanders and stuff, but you will not have those amazing Mortal Engine style engines of destruction, which is really the thing we are all excited about. A little bit, really something to take into consideration. Those huge starter sets are the only way that you can start to collect these Resin things. Okay, from what we've heard, and this needs to be confirmed because even Stuart from Warcradle said that the points are still being played on, this starter set would be around 1,000 points. So it's the same scale as the Dystopian Wars. So you can play 1,000, 750, 150, and 2,000 for the largest battles. We're gonna probably settle at some point at 2,000 points on the channel, but for the beginning we're probably gonna start the skirmish scale, which is 500 to 1,000 to start discovering the game, and at some point after some months of painting and playing, we're gonna settle at 2,000. So a 2,000 points army is gonna be twice what you see about, depending on point changing and everything, of course. But still, it's gonna be a lot of miniatures on the table, and it's gonna feel like absolutely massive battles. We cannot wait to play this. Okay, this being said, all these little disclaimers being said, what do you get in this Crown Battle group? They explain on the blog everything that you want to know. The first thing that I will say is that this is the Sovereign Landship. We've seen it before, you've seen it being played around, and I know some people were not very happy of the scale, and I was the first one to say that, especially for the little windows here, because a human, you see, this is a door for a human here, and this is a command center, and you imagine it being huge, but in the end, it's like there are like 5 people standing in there. So it felt a bit weird to have this appearance at this scale, and few people were put off by this, and I'm still not very sure this is the version I will build. We now see much better the second version, which is the Monarch Landship, and now we're talking. Now this looks like a beautiful, beautiful ship. Just changing the main gun there, and there is even a painted version that is visible somewhere. Just let me get it. Yeah, there it is. This is on the retailer like Occam distribution. I don't know this, but they already have it on their website, and this is why we have some videos being released before, because before the blog we could see those things. And just look at this beauty. This is the kind of thing that when you see it, you're like, okay, I'm playing this game for sure. Like, the best thing, and I confirmed it with Stuart, is that, again, take a look at the scale of this door, for example, for a human. I asked Stuart, because we had this discussion, will you have some extra infantry miniatures to put there, for example, to put on the side here, like as a snipers, or to put in the center, to really give life to this massive tank and get better sense of scale, etc. And he said yes, because there's going to be some officers around, some officers for the few infantry units that we will see with banners and stuff, which means, I made some calculation, you should have, I don't know, 12 to 15 extra infantry models, depending on how many officers units you have. But if it is the case, you can not only have some extra infantry unit all around on your massive centerpiece landships, but you also will be able, if you want to make bases on your tanks, for example, you will be able to have some infantry walking side by side with your tank as an escort or something, which is something I love to do, and I know other people do. And you can absolutely expect that on the channel. So yeah, you have this beautiful, beautiful, it's not a Monarch anymore, yes it is the Monarch, and you can make either the Sovereign, either the Monarch. From the appearance it looks like it will be easy to magnetize, and it's probably what you should do, but if you play Dystopian Wars, you know that it's easy to switch equipment, so always magnetize, or just don't glue at least. So what do you get more? You can see that there's a lot of stuff, we'll talk about it in a second. Let's first take a look at the list. We got 12 rifle platoons. I will just point them out. 12 rifle platoons. It really looks like it is going to be those guys in the pictures, basic infantry. From what from what I understood from the game, there is going to be a way to reinforce units. This has been teased publicly. So you start with a rifle platoon at 6 platoons of infantry, and this is a unit, like 6 of those guys. It's level 1 unit. You can reinforce it to go to 12, and this is only in middle scaled battle. And if you go to apocalypse scale, like 3000 points battle, then you can reinforce it a 3rd time, and then you can have infantry platoons of up to 18 infantry units, base models. They call bases models, which I understand why, and it will take some habit to get used on, because we call it base, socle, for other games. But yeah, let's say 1 infantry base is 1 infantry model. Much easier. Thank you, Warcradle. Let's call it like this for every single epic scale war games. It's much easier. All right, I am showcasing here something that has been teased publicly. Well, let me check if it's been public. Yes, it's in the public part. So this thing has been teased publicly, and we can see like this is going to be a data card. Like this is a prototype, so it looks quite bad, the graphics. Don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to this, which is, depending on the number of models you have, you can have a different level of firepower. And as you can see, there are rifles. They have a specific, very efficient number of dices against light units, which are cavalry, infantry, etc. Heavy units, which is written here, it's like a trait that you have, like your infantry is light, etc. Heavy units, which can be, for example, tanks and everything, but you can have in infantry, like in exo armor and stuff, being heavy, so be careful about that. Against heavy units, you have way less dices. You can try to shoot if you want, but it's going to be way harder. And in melee, you are in average against anything. I really love this system, that you don't have the exact name of the weapon here. I hope we'll have it in the fluff, but you don't have the exact name, like this is a heavy rifle, this is a sniper rifle, this is flamethrowers. No, you just have your efficiency against one of the 3 types of target, light, heavy, and aerial, anti-air firepower, basically. I love this system. It's so nice, so fluid and simple. And this is, for example, something from Epic Armageddon, where you have different values against infantry and tanks. This is basically the same, modernized and made more simple, and I just love it. I love it. I think it's a great system. I can show it to you, and this is how I got the idea that from 1 to 6, this is your average level. 7 to 12, okay, it's when you reinforce once, and if you reinforce twice, you arrive there, and then you are absolutely devastating against any infantry. I love as well that it's not linear progression, because you start at 4 and then you get +6 if you get a 2nd regiment. So you really, like, it gives this feeling that you have this wall of fire that is more than the sum of its parts. And then you get +6 dices again, like this. While against heavy, it is a linear progression, +1/+1. And same with melee, linear progression. So there is so much versatility with this system, and I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to play this. I know, okay, I'm not sure I can say, but some people have seen glimpses of the rules, let's say, and all those war hosts that did are extremely excited to play this. Guys, get hyped for the game, because as soon as we can talk about the rule set, you guys are gonna get crazy. It's amazingly good. Okay, so you get 12 infantry rifle platoons, okay. And I will take this opportunity to show you the painted version, which for some reason is not on the blog, a bit sad. But yeah, we can see those guys on the retailer website. And yeah, the rifles look good, like 10 millimeters, it's small. It will take a while if you want to paint them at this standard. But yeah, for some massed infantry, I really like them. I know some people are already talking about color schemes depending on the type of terrain you're gonna play in. But yeah, I really like this, and with a little flag, it's gonna be lovely on the table. So those were the rifles. You also get 8 Drake field guns. Okay, Drake field guns, let's have a look from the retailer directly. It's those things. It's like small artillery or mortar even at this scale, and you do get quite a lot of them. I think it's going to be those guys, so you get 8 of them indeed. And we'll have to wait for the rules, but I'm very excited to have the crown having quite a lot of nice looking classical artillery. If they play like in Dystopian Wars, we know that it's going to be a very fun, balanced classical factions. Cannot wait for that. You also have 4 Stirling troop carriers, which is a small transport that can be built as Glamis. So those 4 are going to be here. We can already see like those 2 are in the transport mode and those 2 are in the shooty mode. But I'm not going to show you the pictures again of the blog. I'm going to show you on the retailer website. Here is what I want to call it a rhino, I'm sorry. But here is the troop transport, which looks good. It's not painted yet, but alright. And then the Glamis mobile gun, which looks basically like Stirling. I need to remember the names. Like a Stirling with a Drake gun on it. So we'll see if it's going to be like basically an armored mortar, which I'm all for it, or if it's going to be a little bit different. But looks good already. And then you get 8 Royal Engineer Sappers. This is a brand new unit that was not even teased before, except like, correct me if I'm wrong. But you got those nice looking infantry, which are probably those. They look like this, and I really like this little kepi, like beret, I'm not sure the English word. But yeah, those are going to be very interesting. I guess they're Scottish from how they look, just a wild guess. You have on top of that 8 sharp rifles, and this is the point when I'm like, do you? Because I see like we have 8 special infantry here, and I'm like, maybe it's going to be a twin build, and you have either the engineers, either the sharp rifles, because I don't see them on the pictures. I see the Spitfires, we'll talk about them in a second, but I don't see them otherwise. So I'm like, is it like alternative build and they just didn't put it into basket, or do you actually have them? I'm not sure at this point. I would vote for the former, because you can see they look like they just have a different weapon and head, but they all have the same like body. I don't know, could be either way. Sharp rifles look more Australian to me, like they're basically crocodile dandies. That's really what they remind me of. Look good, probably gonna be sappers. Probably the snipers, sorry. The sappers are gonna have some rules, I guess. They're gonna be good in garrison, maybe they're gonna build some trenches, we'll see. And the sharp rifles are gonna be snipers and are gonna shoot from very far, I believe, and probably good in the forest. So we'll see the rules when we get them, but happy to have both. Then you get the very interesting looking Spitfire Rocketeers, which are right there. Flying infantry, we'll have to see if they have deep strike somehow, or if they have some rule to, I guess they're going to be very fast, but do they have deep strike and they can go anywhere? Do they have a vanguard move? We'll see how that works. But being able to just drop some infantry in a building, in a forest, where it's annoying for your opponent is of course going to be very interesting in terms of tactics. And I think they're going to be a staple. Plus in the fluff, it is those guys that are dropped from the Tintagels, for example. So there is of course going to be at some point on the channel, and for you at home I think you will want to do the same, some cross battles. When you start in Dystopian Wars, you drop some troops and then it continues with the infantry models and tanks from Armoured Clash. That is what we're going to do, because remember that there is a lot of Spitfires on the secret lab that have been captured by the East Indian Trade Company in a previous battle report, fighting against some Russians. And for sure, as soon as we have Russian models as well, we're gonna play this ground battle that was a little bit suspended on Armoured Clash. And of course there's gonna be a ton of Spitfires, because that's what was dropped first. Then we have the tanks, beautiful tanks. The Galahad medium tank, the Breachers, and the Tristan assault transport. I like that it's only a medium tank, so it implies there might be a heavy tank later on, and we're really excited to see what it's gonna look like. So let's have a look what we can get. The Galahad medium tank is this very heavy baby that looks like a was it Mark 1 or Mark 5 that British tanks in the World War I? Well, one of the other, I cannot remember, but it looks very much like the First World War tank, and I love it. I love that they have the little space here to look through, and you can make them with a little special effect of glowing, of having energy inside. This is beautifully painted. I have nothing to say, but yeah, you can really appropriate it and paint it as you like. Of course, if you have a crown fleet, you can use it as the same, like with the same color scheme as you have. Then you have the Breacher, which is basically the same, but with these different weapons. I suppose it's gonna be a flamethrower or equivalent to a meltagun. I don't know, we'll have to see what it does. I think it's gonna be shorter ranged. Like, this is probably gonna be against infantry at medium range, and this I imagine it being short range and anti-heavy. We'll have to see what it does. And finally, you have what you cannot tell me it's not a Land Raider, but it's because 40k got inspired by the British tanks of World War I, so it's only fair that this looks like a Land Raider. It's actually a Land Raider that looks like a Tristan, if we're being honest. And the Tristan is an assault transport. It's going to be a very heavy tank, probably as tough as a medium tank, with this assault ramp in the front. Probably it's going to be for your very elite melee infantry. We don't have that yet in the crown. We have some good cavalry equivalent, but we don't have some super tough, fragile, elite infantry that needs to be in a super heavy transport to be safe. We'll have to see if we have it later on, but it's good to have the option. Then we have the Blackwatch Dragoons. So those, you have 8 of those. It's here. It's like those. Okay, I don't want to compare everything to Warhammer, but this looks like this Skitarii Walker a lot. So it has kind of shield generator. I'm very excited to see how it's gonna work out. And this weapon, or some sort of autocannon or something. You get 8 of those. Probably it's gonna play like a flanker, skirmisher, heavy infantry unit. I wonder if it's gonna be cavalry or infantry. If it is infantry, it's probably gonna be heavy, even though he's exposed. We'll have to see the rules. Let's not make a guess too much, but you get 8 of those. Probably it's going to be 2 regiments of 4. So I believe that if you want, you can build 4 as these skirmishing unit, and 4 as these assault dragoon, which are going to be less tough because it doesn't have this equivalent to the guardian generator on the side, but it has a chainsaw, so probably with a much better melee attack and much more threatening. You will want to not expose him too much and charge on the flanks on the enemy. Guess on how he's going to play. So those are the Blackwatch heavy and assault dragoons. Then you get 10 of the Horse Guard Cavalry, which I lost. Where are they? They're here, of course. 10 Horse Guard Cavalry, so it makes us believe that they're gonna be in regiments of 5, which is gonna be nice. It means you can make maybe a nice little assault formation. We'll have to see how we can organize them, but they probably is gonna look great. They look like this. So this is gonna be the officer, looking great, the Horse Guard Cavalry. Get 10 of them. I think it's going to be a great cavalry charge. I love the idea of mechanical horses ever since I played this. Oh my god, it's an old video game called Strider. It was like a melee beat them up. If you remember this, let me know in the comment. I feel like I'm the only one I've ever played this. It was a great game. And mechanical horses are cool, and you cannot tell me otherwise. And you get a lot of those. And finally, what might be my favorite models, except the Monarch, in the Crown faction, the heavy artillery, which looks brilliant. To be fair, the tanks look brilliant as well, but damn, like this looks like the proper British heavy artillery. Just look at this Mordred heavy artillery. Plus it's called Mordred, so of course the task force Mordred is gonna have 10,000 of those guys. Lots of details, you can paint it well. There is a lot of like this enlumineux, I don't know the English word, I'm sorry, but those little nice little details. It's gonna look great. You're gonna have like squadrons of 2 of those, from what we can understand. It's gonna shoot across the battlefield and it's gonna look brilliant. I cannot wait to have a siege scenario where those guys are either laying siege to a citadel, or even better, when they are on the walls just holding the line, because I'm very frustrated from Total War Warhammer that you cannot put siege cannons on the walls. So Armoured Clash is gonna be the occasion to do that, if we can do it in the rule, but I hope so. We can house rule it otherwise. And then another variant, which is the Boar's Heavy Bombard. We'll have to see how it works. Maybe it's gonna be able to shoot without line of sight. Maybe the Mordred can do it as well. Probably shorter range, probably heavier firepower, maybe better against infantry. We can only guess at this point, but I like the appearance of this guy as well. But that's not everything you get, because if I zoom out, no, they don't show it here, but you get a lot of bonus content, and we're gonna have a look. You get some terrain. Let's look at the rep. So you're gonna have 1 or 2 sprues of the terrain, which is great. Amazing terrain, we love them. And we've seen some unboxing of those because we know those. You can also have a look. I know that Speed Demon Painting has some guide on how to build them. Probably Cahoon is going to have some as well. Cahoon is a top secret painting. Probably I'm going to put the link in the description so you can see their channels and have a look at those, like how to build those terrain. Because when you open the box, there's so many parts. It's good to have instructions. There are some official instructions, but having some YouTube videos is always better. You're also going to get some token sheets, the rulebook, the cards, 1 set of cards, the action dices, which are different from Dystopian Wars, but they're very interesting. A little bit sad that there is so many different types of dices, but the system is great. and well, I cannot spoil you anything, but the action dice system is even better than Dystopian Wars. Really excited to get started on this. And Dystopian Wars already had great proprietary dice systems and twice the measuring tools and the objectives. So let's take a look. Indeed, we can see we have the tokens, okay, the markers, the cards that we get, the rule books, something to move, which looks very similar to Dystopian Wars. So I do believe that it's going to be exactly the same and you can use one for the other. The slow movement, like this thing that comes straight from Dystopian Wars, it's only from the Landship, as has been announced. Like some people were afraid that it's going to be annoying to move your units. It's going to be fine. Only the most massive lumbering ships should have this. We'll have to confirm once we have the final rules and the data sheets and everything, but apparently the dice cannot tell you anything, but it's very simple to use. And finally the objectives markers and stuff. And something to count the number of the round, and this is something that is very convenient. We'll probably use it for Dystopian Wars as well. It's how to count the initiative, because you give it to whoever has the initiative, because it impacts a few things. And you also count the round like this. Though, if it's as lethal as Dystopian Wars, seeing the end of turn 3 is going to be rare. I think it's going to be a bit less lethal, I hope. So we can have our models a bit longer on the table. So that is the Crown starter set. Before we go, because I realize it's taking a while to discuss all the models. Before we go for the Empire, I'm just going to take a look at the Crown one-player smaller starter set, which is this, the Introductory Set, which is going to be way cheaper. It is going to be, it seems, like 37 pounds, so let's say 45 euros, I'm guessing, but this is like without taxes. So let's say it's going to be at 50-ish euros, 60 at the maximum. What do you get in there? You will get basically one of the light sprue and one of the heavy sprue. So you're going to have 6 infantry units, like models of the rifles, 5 cavalry, 4 Spitfires, like half of everything we described, 2 transport, 2 tanks, 2 artillery, and 4 rail guards and 4 drakes. Like you have 1 sprue of each, or maybe it's going to be 2 sprues of each. We'll have to see how it's divided, but you get half of the one-player starter set, and you don't get the resin, which is sad. Like this is the big thing. Like if you just want to start the game, but you're like, yeah, I don't want to spend 150 euros. If, let's say, I'm not sure of the price, but I don't want to spend this huge amount of money. I just want to spend like 50 euros and see if I like the models, if I like painting them and everything. This is a good start, because if the one-player starter set is about 1,000 points, there you might have around 500, I would say, and it's going to be enough. Even if it's 450 or 400 points, it's going to be enough to play a skirmish, and there's probably going to be scenarios in the battle for Singapore to play smaller scale battles, and then you can just have a feeling of how the game actually plays, and then you can buy more stuff. And don't be scared to buy this, like the game, and then to want to buy the one-player starter set, because if you buy exactly the Crown Introductory Set, you like the game, and then you buy the one-player starter set, you're going to have one flagship, like Landship, you need to get used to that, and then you're going to have all the units available to the Crown that you can reinforce up to 3 times. So even if you play later on apocalypse-sized games, you will be able to just have one big unit of 15 cavalry, for example, or one big unit of 6 tanks, depending on your magnetize and everything. So it is not overbuying. You will have 1,500 points, and it's not too much. So don't think like, oh my god, I will make a mistake if I do this, because no, it's not going to be a mistake. Especially, and this is a part that I'm a little bit not sure how I feel about it. No, actually I know I'm a bit sad. There are some unique commanders in the Battle for Singapore and in the Introductory Set. You can see it's the only thing in Resin right there. It's this guy in his kind of like he seems to be too fat, so he has his own little transport plus his little escort aide-de-camp. And I love it. I wonder if it's going to have some special rules. It is a commander, because you don't have the Landship. So of course they need to give you a special commander to have a legal army, because you need to have 1 commander per army, or maybe more, I don't know, we'll have to see the rules. But you need at least 1 commander, and it was the only way without giving a Landship to give commander. But why not to put this little resin guy that seems very small in the huge one-player full starter set? Like, even if you pay 5 euros more, like at this point it doesn't matter, but you feel like you missed something. Though, it means if you are super all-in on Armoured Clash, you can buy the Introductory Set plus the one-player battle group, and then you have a big, like almost 2,000 points army, plus enough to make 2 different battle groups. And the last thing I will say about the introductory sets, for the Empire it's going to be the same, is that you have only the quick start rules, so it's only the base, so you will not have the lore, you will not have the different, I guess some scenarios, but maybe not all of them, etc. So you don't have that much. And you get no terrain, obviously. Half the dice, but you have half the army, so it's going to be fine. The token sheets, because you absolutely need them. But the one thing that I'm like, is it a mistake or not? You don't have the cards. I understand cards are expensive, increase the price. Can you play without the cards? It's a big part of the game. I guess at skirmish size it's fine, and this is really meant to play skirmish size games without cards apparently. And it's like a faction taster, but you cannot just buy this thing like 5 times and be able to play the game, because you do need the cards. They are very important. Like you can play without, as always. You've seen with editing the channel, even the latest battle report for Dystopian Wars. But damn. So introductory sets only good if you really want just to have a taste. Otherwise, it's gonna be better to buy the one-player starter set every single time. I will give my conclusion a little bit later, but about what you can buy, but you can guess already. I am very much thinking that it's such a better deal, this huge one-player starter set, because you get the Landship, you get much more, you get the real rulebook, you get the dice, the cards. Really, like, if you play Dystopian Wars and you like the game and you like the settings, go for it, because it's much better. You get loads more. And now we go for the Empire, and let's have a look what they get inside. Same scale as the Crown. I will not tell again here the British part, the Crown part, but you will get the terrain, you will get the tokens, the cards, very important for the large battle set, movement tools, like everything that you need is going to be there. But let's have a look at the infantry, the miniatures, everything that you do get. And we will start, of course, with the Landship, getting used to that. So the Landship, I know it made a lot of people say, like, I don't like it. And I will be honest, I didn't like it either. It is like basically a death roller. This really looks like it would be in Mortal Engines, but I didn't like it. If you did like it, great for you. I have to say, I was a bit excited for the Empire before, and when I saw this, I was like, I don't want this as my flagship. I don't want to have my Landship. I don't want my commander to just be charging down, mowing the infantry, and then just being like a kamikaze unit that looks like it looks cool, the concept and everything, but it's not my place. I was like, no, I don't want to play Empire because of this. Even though it will look great with some infantry here. As we've said for the Crown, I'm saying it again in case you time skipped to the Empire. There's going to be extra infantry guys, like models, let's say, and you will be able to put them, for example, here at the command center, like snipers or something like this, and it's going to look great. You can also put some here if you want. There is a shield generator there that looks interesting. So yeah, you can make it look even better. And unpainted, okay, it doesn't look brilliant. You can see that it has some kind of mortar, so probably anti-heavy. Melee is going to be a beast. It has apparently some anti-infantry, also firepower, and even a flamethrower in the front. So we'll have to see what it actually does in terms of gameplay. It's going to be the flamethrower only anti-infantry, and this is anti-air. We'll have to see the rules. But yeah, we have this little beast, which is a Laoshan Landship. I was not convinced. However, and this is brand new, there is a new version, and it's the Wutai Landship. And okay, now we're talking. This is basically the opposite, and this looks like a command piece to me, and I love it, and I want to play this. It's going to be a bit harder to put infantry there, because they're going to get death very fast by the artillery, but this looks like something that makes sense. It looks like the head of a land train, to be honest, now that I'm looking at it. We can see that it has not anti-infantry, but like flamethrower on the sides. Probably it's going to be taken from some of the cannons or of the tanks. We will have to see how it's built. It's plastic bits, so you will take it from your plastic sprues, so be careful depending on how you want to build. We will talk about it more in the unboxing, of course. But yeah, you don't get the death roller, you get more flamethrowers in the front, and you get these artillery. So it's probably going to be played as an artillery piece, this guy, and if you get close with some Spitfire, for example, infantry or some cavalry, and try to charge this, then it has some good flamethrowers to keep you away. But I really like the idea of having this as a centerpiece in your artillery line, and it looks much better. Like, I don't know, it just feels more balanced. You know, I'm not a huge fan of death rollers, so I'm not impartial on this. But then this looks great. And now I want to play Empire. So yeah, it was not nice to start complaining about models while we didn't have the whole range. But yeah, this is like, it's fine if you have if you buy the starters twice, or we get it later on to have it as a sacrificial piece. But you will get 16 also green banner platoon, and this is indeed the equivalent of the British rifles. They look good. We don't have anything painted yet, unfortunately, here. I've seen some painted around, but I like the style. I will say, I like the style. Some people complain that they look a bit too fantasy. I think it looks good with the shield, making the shield wall. I hope they're going to be a little bit more defense-oriented than the British. If they could go for defense 3, for example, that would be brilliant. Especially, for example, if they didn't move like some special rule like this. Even though defense 3 for infantry, it starts to be a bit oppressive. We'll have to see what they get. You get 16 of those, so you can make 16 of those. So you can make, sorry, I'm like processing. 18, so they are not in groups of 6. Or is it a mistake? Let me have a look at the whole army. Indeed, there are 16 of those, so either it's 2 squadrons of 8, but that seems to be a bit hoardy. Maybe that's why they are more defensive, let's say, than the Crown is, because they have more models on the table. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm recording this I started recording like 20 minutes after the blog went online. But yeah, I didn't realize there is a ton of infantry. It's gonna be a base regiment size of 8 for the green banners. There is almost no questions about it. So if you reinforce it at Apocalypse scale, it's gonna be 24 models. That is a horde of unit. Okay, so they're a little bit less elite, those guys. Makes sense. We'll have to see the datasheets for sure. But yeah, I quite like it that they have this different basics size for the infantry depending on the nation. Actually, a great idea. Love it. So you get 16 of those guys. They're gonna look like an absolute brilliant shield wall when you have them all together. And yeah, that sounds great. So green banner platoons. Really excited to see what they're gonna have as rules. Then you get those Tanshee. If you know how to pronounce, let me know, please. You get 8 of those, so regiment size of 4. And there are 2 variants that you can build one of each if you want. You have the light launcher that looks like this, probably a mortar version, maybe anti-tank, maybe longer range. And then you have the Biao Flak launcher, which, first of all, we discussed it on the Discord. This is exactly the magnetic bombard of the Alliance, but at a smaller scale. Is it going to be magnetic? We'll have to see. This thing looks more either anti-infantry or anti-air. We know air units are not coming anytime soon, so it will not be very useful if it is indeed flak in the sense of anti-air. If it's flak because it throws shrapnel around, it's going to be anti-infantry, and then it's very easy. You have the anti-tank version, the anti-infantry version of this mobile mortar. It looks a bit like this Rhino with the Drake field gun. Sorry, I need to remember the Drake. Was it the Stirling transport? It looks like the equivalent. Less defenses. Maybe it's even going to be light, while the Stirling is going to be heavy. But still, much more mobile. And I used to see it on the table and it didn't look that great. I think, well, like painted well with a nice base and everything, might be interesting looking on the table. Then we get the flame teams. And at first I had to read this a few times because they say you have 8 flame teams, 8 rocket platoons, 8 Jezzail team. And I was like, oh, that's a mistake. It's alternative build. Kind of like what we've seen for the Crown. Like Sappers are probably the same as the sharp rifles. Yeah, no, not at all. Because you have those 8 Jezzails. You have 8 rocket teams and 8 of the flame teams. So you get a lot of infantry with the Empire starter set. Love it. So you have the flame team. Well, I don't think I take too much risk by saying it's going to be anti-infantry, maybe ignoring cover and probably shorter range. Not much risk there. Then rocket platoons, probably anti-tank, but it's good to have some variety. It will not be alternative builds, so you will not have to choose. Great. I wonder why this guy, it looks to me like he's carrying a stairs, a miniature stairs. I have to, like, look at this. I don't know what it is. Probably munitions, but still, it looks fun. I love that they are basically smaller version of the turrets that we've seen on the Empire ships, with this kind of like dragon mouth shaped. Looks great, and you can imagine it being rockets, but in the sense of like, as you can imagine, Asian military rockets from some movies that we've seen. And I like this style very much. They also have the same helmet at the green banner, so it really will give this uniformity appearance to the army, which I love it. And finally, probably my favorite infantry unit that we've seen in both starters, the Jezzails, which, well, you know the Jezzails if you've ever played Skaven, but it's a real-life unit, inspired by real life. I absolutely love one specific thing. First of all, shields like this look great, but it looks like it's railguns. Look at the side of this rifle. It's a railgun. If it is anti-infantry and anti-heavy because it's a goddamn railgun, I will love this unit very, very much. Probably it's going to be very fragile, but that is why you deploy them in a forest, or even better, as snipers on the top of a roof, and then it's going to probably be very tough with less dices, but maybe higher quality dice, we'll have to see. And yeah, I'm not throwing shade at the British, but the British have basically guys sharp rifles with a crocodile Dundee hat. Those guys have goddamn railguns that are too heavy and have to be on a magnetic shield to be able to be shot at with. Isn't that brilliant? Just for this, like, I also want to play Empire. Brilliant unit. Then you have the Jianhuren. I'm sorry, I remember that someone said like it's Jian like this, it's pronounced Qian or something like this. If someone speaks Chinese, please let me know how to pronounce. Let's say Jianhuren, let's say I remember right. Those are terracotta automata. They're basically golems, and obviously gonna be infantry, maybe heavy. I think they're gonna be heavy. Probably a bit slowish, but maybe a counter charge unit, a counter threat unit, and they're gonna be absolute brutes in melee because they don't seem to have any shooting attacks, so they have to be brutes in melee to make their points back. And I like the style very much. Little teaser, but the officer that we'll see in the introductory set has a guard, like a bodyguard, that is an automata, and I love this concept that these guys are just like kind of like bodyguards. Probably they're gonna be defensive oriented unit, because we'll see that the Empire has a lot of fragile looking, very specialized unit, like the rockets look fragile but anti-tank, flame fragile but anti-infantry. Stuart teased that the Empire is going to be very focused with units doing one thing great, and that's it. And probably if you have a lot of fragile specialized unit, you need something to hold the front line at some point. Yes, you have a horde of green banners, but that might not do the deal if the enemy brings a lot of flamethrowers. If he has a lot of flamethrowers and anti-light weapons, you bring those guys to the front and then you just hold the line. Because you get 8 of those, so 2 regiments of 4, and it's probably going to be the case that you want to split them and have them on each flank and being really like an anchor to slow down the enemy while your fast units get into position. I'm just making wild guesses. Maybe it's going to be teleporting units that are deep striking and very fragile glass cannons. I guess not, but I'm just making guesses. But it's all we can do for now. And I'm very hyped for this game, so I like making this type of guesses. Then you get the Bolnabangs, aerial infantry, equivalent to the Spitfire, but with this very like alchemical, like Renaissance type, almost Assassin's Creed type of vibes. It reminds me of Da Vinci, like Flying Man in a bit. Probably gonna be the equivalent of the Spitfires, but a little bit different. Maybe more specialized anti-infantry if they have flamethrowers or something. You're gonna be able to make some beautiful effects on those guys if you want to paint them well. We'll have to see how they get played. Bolnabangs, from what has been said on the Discord, apparently they're Koreans, from the name, if we can guess. And makes sense as well because they're flying infantry, and we know the Koreans are the masters of the air. We'll have to see if, when we get the full Korean fleets for Dystopian Wars, if they have special rules for dropping Bolnabangs. Please tell me if I butcher the name. And yeah, cannot guess too much about how they're gonna be played, but I really like the style. Like, even better than the Spitfires, I have to admit. They remind me also, for those who played Command & Conquer 3, of the Nod Flying Ninjas, and it reminds me a lot, and now I want a full Empire army in black and red Nod color scheme. Oh yeah, I'm getting ideas now. Finally, we go with the tanks, and the tanks, you get 4 of those, because tanks go in squadrons of 2. This guy is, like, this is the rear of the tank, quite obviously. I like that he has little wheels behind to make sure that it can pilot itself with a little engine. Love the attention to details. But yeah, maybe I can get you a picture of the front. Absolutely not, because even on the real blog, we can only see the rear. Well, can you imagine that this is the tank, but it has a cannon in the front? It's a Fangun, and in the front, either you play the Fangun and you have the cannon, either you play the Yanshu flame tank, which looks even cooler, and you have this flaming head of dragon. Maybe some bits are going to be taken by the Landship, so be careful about that. Maybe it will need to be magnetized. I think it looks made for this, so really small magnet there. It's going to be just enough to change the turret, so pay attention to this, and we'll have to see the rule. Probably this guy is going to be anti-tank, anti-heavy, and this guy is going to be anti-light. Like, it seems like the Empire is really going to be having units that have one specific type of attacks, like Flame is anti-light, Tank, anti-tank, and it's going to be their whole playstyle. I like the wheeled tanks. I cannot say I'm a huge fan, like, on this. Like, I like the idea of these things rolling next to the land roller, and with the little truck artillery. Like, it's a fun theme, like almost Mad Max type of army, or Mortal Engines again, of this very mobile force. But it's not my thing entirely. Like, I like more static defensive armies. We'll have to see the playstyle, because maybe they're going to be extremely tough, but I believe they're going to be more mobile than they are tough. Then the Tanshee, like the line automatas, because they have more automatas, those Empire. You get 4 of those, so the same number as the terracotta automatas. As we can see, there are 2 variants. You have this normal anti-tank version. I don't know, we cannot see what they have in the mouth. Do they even have a weapon in the mouth? I quite like this style. I know some people don't like it, but I like they look like statues, and those are probably going to be extremely defense oriented, maybe even almost static. They look like those statues that guard the temples. So if the development team made their job well, it gives you the idea that they guard the temples, so they're defensive units, so you put them to protect all your artilleries and stuff. So those guys, maybe anti-tank, maybe anti-infantry if they have flamethrowers in the mouth, but you have the even cooler, probably more expensive version, the Ruichi, which have rockets on the side, and it has a tactical rock. It doesn't do anything, but I love that it can put its little paw up. It's adorable. And yeah, just come on, it's so cool with the rockets like this. Build all of your line automatas with the rockets, because it's the coolest concept. These like statues protecting your real lines and also contributing to your artillery playstyle. Love this very, very much. It looks brilliant. And we finish with the cavalry, which is not really cavalry. It's the Jindouyoun. I'm sorry if I butcher it. Jindouyoun Steambikes. And do I need to convince you why this is? It looks brilliant. It has kind of like this shield in the front that we've seen with the Jezzail, with probably anti-infantry flak weapons. Makes me think that flak weapons are going to be anti-infantry, not anti-air, now that I think of it, because it looks like the same weapon there, with some green banner guys riding it. And mechanical horses are cool, I have to admit. This is even cooler. I love mechanical bikes like this. It looks absolutely brilliant. Probably they're going to be more expensive than the British horses, more shooty oriented, while the horse cavalry of the British want to be in melee. That is probably going to be a very good, very efficient, powerful, scheming, equivalent, like fast moving harasser unit on the flank, like skirmisher. That's what I wanted to say. And then, you know I love archery, so I will absolutely adore putting those on the table if I play them. I know that Avner, our Covenant player, is also interested in the Empire. We'll see who gets the models in the end. You have 2 types of artillery. The Fengbao heavy launcher, probably launching rockets, have to see what does what. And the Sanlei heavy artillery, does it send like bullets of like balls of fire? Maybe yes. Then it is going to be anti-infantry, and then the rockets are going to be anti-tanks, if it is the case. I hope we can have at least 1 or 2 models with the rockets built on it, so we don't only have to imagine. One of them is going to be anti-infantry, one of them is going to be anti-tank. Let us know if you what you believe. I believe rockets are anti-tank, and this is going to be alchemical fire, so anti-infantry, but this could be bullets, maybe giant shells. Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll have to see what it does, but probably one is going to be for the other. So if you play Empire, if you buy this set, I would say buy one of each variant, because you don't want to go all in. For the British forces, you can say like, okay, I want only this type of heavy dragoons with melee because I want them to charge. It's fine. But for the Empire, I think it's going to be important to have variety of units working in synchronization with each other to be efficient. And that is going to be it for the one-player starter set for the Empire. Brilliant starter set as well. A lot more infantry, and well, I have to say, I quite like it. Which one is my favorite faction? I cannot tell you until I make the unboxing, because I need to see the miniatures physically. I love the infantry very much of the Empire, and I love their like terracotta guards and stuff, but the British also have these heavy dragoons and heavy tanks, and their artillery, I a bit prefer the British one. So it's a mixed bag, like in the sense like both factions have things that I love. The Landships, I prefer the Monarch for sure, then the Wutai, and then the other versions. I'm so hyped for this game, guys. I cannot wait to start recording battle reports. It's gonna be insane. I cannot wait also for you guys to have the rules, but because I cannot say absolutely anything, but trust me, like it's a great game. So you, if you play Empire and you want the introductory set, you then buy this. As we've seen for the Crown, you have two light crew and two heavy crew, or maybe it's one-on-one. We'll have to see. Maybe one heavy sprue makes you one tank, maybe it makes you two, so this will impact the number of sprues, but you basically have half of the huge one-player battle group in the introductory set. It is much cheaper though, at £37, so it's less than half. But then you don't have the massive Resin Landship, which is a shame. Like, I'm really sad if I wouldn't have it. And you don't get either the cards, the command cards. This is a big thing. Like, there are some other things you can do without, but without the command cards, the game is gonna be much sadder, like less interesting. It's great if you want to just spend 50 euros and see if you like the models and the miniatures and play the game, but other than that, you will want to have the cards very soon. Though, as we've said for the Crown, it's very possible to buy this first and then buy the one-player starter sets, and still you're gonna be fine, because then you can reinforce your units up to 2 times, so having thrice the same unit in a single regiment, and this is allowed by the rules if you play at Apocalypse scale games. And so yeah, don't be afraid. It's not a terrible idea, while you will be very sad if you buy both the introductory set and later on the one-player battle group. It's fine, you're not gonna regret it and being like, oh, it's a bad purchase. The unique thing that you get is the green banner platoon commander, and I like it even better than the Crown guy, which is just this fat guy on this bike. There you have a real, very cool looking commander with its bodyguard automata, and it looks amazing. I have to admit, this looks amazing, and if I do start my Empire army, I would be very sad not to have this guy. So we'll have to see what we receive from on tabletop for making the unboxing and everything. If we don't get the introductory set and we have the one-player battle group, I will buy the introductory set, because damn, I want this guy leading my infantry army. They look so amazing. So, okay, we've seen the huge one-player battle groups, we've seen the introductory sets, but it's not everything you get, because you can buy also the Battle for Singapore 2-player introductory set. And the name is very, very well chosen, because for basically a little bit more, well, basically twice the price of the introductory set, so basically you have the same exact content twice, for the Crown and for the Empire. So if you know you have a friend and you want to start the game and you want the Crown and you want the Empire, you can buy this. It's gonna be about the same price as if you bought, each of you guys, your own introductory set starters, but you get more. You get more because you get, again, the quick start for Battle for Singapore campaign. Hopefully there's gonna be some scenarios, okay. You get more dices, more quick start booklets, more token sheets, more measuring tools and objectives, okay. But the bonus thing that you get for this, on top of the scenario and the narrative campaign, we'll have to see how good it is that you get terrains. 2 sprues of terrains for free. So, is it worth it? I think yes, if you don't have any 10mm terrain, because you will want terrain, of course, in this game. I'm not sure if it's been teased publicly or not, but having infantry in garrison in a building is great, absolutely great, and you will want to do that as much as possible. There might, like, I'm guessing we might have scenarios where we have to capture things in buildings, so having buildings at 10mm is going to be a must. So for sure, if you plan to have introductory sets with you and with a friend, buy the Battle of Singapore instead of buying it separately. That is the one moment where I would recommend to do that. Don't force yourself, this is another thing I will say, don't force yourself to buy, for example, the Empire if you don't want the Empire, if you both want to play Crown, for example, because it's not either a crazy deal. You can have a ton of terrain on separate boxes. For example, on my hobby place, you can have those, it's, I think, like 4 or 6 sprues of industrial terrain, Yes, it's a bit expensive. It's gonna be 72, so minus 10, you get it at 64 euros, 65. But you will have ways to get access to industrial sets. Oh, they don't have many more in stocks. People have been buying it apparently. So you can get terrains elsewhere. So what I'm trying to say is, like, buy a faction that you like and don't feel forced to buy this because it's a 2-player starter set. You don't have to buy the starter set to get started. You can buy 1-player introductory starter set, or even better, the 1-player massive battle group, which is the best way to start and has terrain as well. So if you really want to get started and you both want Crown, or you both want Empire, for example, you both buy the 1-player starter sets, this huge battle group, and then you're gonna have 4 like sprues or 8 sprues of plastic terrains, and then you can make a beautiful table and start playing and have a lot of fun. I think we've covered everything. That was a lot. I'm sorry I talked a lot, but first of all, I'm very excited. I wanted to give you some impression on the games, the different sets, and if you're excited and want to get a pre-order, I really wanted to get it clear what you should or should not be able to buy. They will sell as well. Those like extra things if you need. The full rulebook, which is gonna be important if you bought only the introductory set. The Command and Conquest cards, which is gonna be mandatory, essential if you bought the introductory set. I would even say, like, if you buy the introductory set, maybe buy the cards right away, or because it's gonna be so much better to play the game with these. For me, it should have been even in the introductory sets, but I understand that maybe it would have been too expensive. Oh my god, we have the real price! Okay, oh my god, I was mistaken. Okay, let's put it the real price in pounds and not with the euro conversion. Okay, so we see the price. Okay, end of the video, we're gonna see the real price and not the estimation of everything, and I'm gonna discover it with you guys. So you can buy some more die sets if you need. I cannot tell you anything though about those. Let's get started and see what everything costs. We've seen the cards are £10, okay. The dice sets are going to be £10 as well, so you can see that it starts to pile up, but you get 24 of those. The rulebook, I'm afraid it's going to be expensive. The rulebook is going to be £10, so it's already £30 of extras that you get in the massive 1-player battle group. So yes, you do get some dice, but it makes me say, like, yeah, the 1-player battle group is really the way to go. The battle for Singapore, let's have a look. 2-player starter set. It is going to be £95, so about 100 euros. Okay, so okay, we can see that it's yeah, 112. So with minus 10%, you're gonna get it from my hobby place. It's gonna be about, yeah, 100 euros once you order it. So 100 euros, 50 euros per person. Good start, as we've said. Makes me think that then the introductory set are gonna be about 60 euros. Is it gonna be the case? 53, okay, with the conversion, because they're gonna be £45. Yes, that's exactly the price. Okay, so good deal indeed. Yeah, the battle for Singapore is good, but really don't feel forced because you can just buy the faction you want. It's not a crazy 2-player starter set deal. Like, you get a very good deal from the introductory set and from especially the massive 1-player battle group for sure. And now the thing that I'm most excited for, please don't be expensive, please don't be expensive, £120, but it's, as they said, it's a new format. I need to see it in euros to understand. 140 euros, so maybe it's going to be around 145, 150 once it is done. And minus 10%, you're going to end up around 135 euros. But they had to make a new format of box because there is so much stuff inside. You get tons of plastic sprues for light units, heavy units, the terrain, of course, the resin, the tokens, the dices, the rulebooks, everything. You're gonna get the cards, of course, because you need the cards, and you've seen it's £10. So yeah, you got a ton of stuff for 140 euros, 120 pounds, but it is going to be the best way. Like, you buy this and you're set up for Armoured Clash. I'm not gonna open the Games Workshop tab and have a look at how much it costs for Legion Imperials. I will just say this is so much cheaper, and the quality of the miniatures just looks just as good. Like, I mean, those Land Raiders look just as good. So very excited for the game. Now we know how much it's gonna cost. It's gonna be released, as they say, at the end of September. Do expect a an unboxing as soon as we receive it. And then, of course, we're gonna start making some battle reports, because that's what we all want to do. Bit sad that we could not get it in advance. I really wish for the release of the pre-orders, or for the release date exactly of the game, I could release some battle report, at least one, to show you guys how it plays. But it's not gonna be the case, so we're gonna receive it end of September. We're gonna get it painted in October if we're fast. And we're probably gonna record then beginning of November, middle of November, the battle report. So expect the first battle reports of Armoured Clash in December, if everything goes well with the painting and everything. I'm sorry, that's how it's gonna be. We're gonna try to do it as fast as possible, but it's gonna take a while to get everything painted for our different players and everything. Alright, I hope this video was not too long, but it was really the big announcement for Armoured Clash that we had been waiting for. I hope you enjoyed this video and my rambling about the different units, how it's gonna play, what you should buy, the price and everything. If you did and you're hyped for the game, give us a thumbs up. It always really helps. Give us a little subscribe, because this makes the counter go up. And as soon as we reach 1500, I think we're about 100 away from that, there's gonna be a little game live, and we're gonna choose a winner, like randomly, for a massive Union Battlefleet set and then a massive Covenant Battlefleet set, so 2 winners. And then in live we're gonna discuss with the community, and we're gonna decide what next you want to gain, because we have a few options. You guys will get to decide what are the next fleets in play. And as always, if you want to enter the game, not only subscribe but also give us a comment, because then you gain a ticket to gain one of those 2 massive battle fleets. And of course, share with your friends, so if they subscribe, we're getting closer to giving those fleets away, and I cannot wait to send them to your home. Thank you very much, guys. Let us know in the comments, not only for the game of winning a battle fleet, but let us know what you think of Armoured Clash. Are you more excited now that you've seen this? What do you think of the price? £120 is a lot, but you get so much. Are you gonna start with the introductory set? Are you gonna start with a 2-player starter set, or with those massive 1-player battle group? What do you think of the new variants that have been announced? And yeah, are you gonna play Armoured Clash, or are you gonna stay on Dystopian Wars? Or maybe you are a guy that plays Conquest or War Machine or another game. Like, what do you think of this? And if you play other 10mm war games, are you gonna give this little guy a chance as well? I'm really willing to hear what you think about this game, because it's gonna be a brand new game on the channel. Let us know in the comments. Take care of yourself, guys, and until the next video, remember to keep things fair in love and war games. Bye.